Hey, everybody. Welcome to Randy Sands and the Mediumship crew. And as we told you earlier in the announcement, if you saw it, we were going to talk tonight about what is ethical when it comes to mediumship and what you should look for in a medium and what you should try to avoid in a mediumship, or in a medium rather. Mediumship should be about healing. It should be about grief relief. There's a lot of things there's a lot of responsibilities to being a medium. And I'm very passionate about the ethics. Jack will tell you I pound it into my students. And the reason we're doing this is because something interesting happened. And we're not going to mention any names because that would be unethical. So a couple, I don't know, 3-4 days ago, I got a thing that said, oh, such and such medium is doing some free readings for lucky winners. I never do this, but Spirit kept prodding me to sign up for it. So I did. Sure enough, an hour later, I got a notice, oh, you're a lucky winner. I have these slots in my schedule, but all you have to do is this and this and this and this. So it was sign up with Google, The best thing I could tell you is that this person was trying to get my contact list. That's what it seemed like to me. So I said, yeah, not doing that. So a couple days went by and I got an email yesterday and I got an email today that I'm going to read to you guys. I'm not going to say who it is because, you know, that's as unethical as these emails. Okay, so it says, Dear Randy, do you still want to know the truth? I'm getting back in touch with you, just like I promised I would do yesterday. I've been able to meditate over the last few hours and pick up where I left off with my visions. Everything is clearer now. As I was telling you yesterday, we hadn't spoken yesterday, I picked up on a degree of negativity at the end of the seance. What seance? Today I've been able to put this impression into words, and I can tell you with certainty that the upcoming events are not inevitable. Rest assured, Randy, I have come equipped to counter them. What's more, the last intense seance also produced a great load of positive energy backed by the upcoming empowerment of Jupiter, which will be very, very beneficial to you. Well, that's good. I like that. Some 3 years ago, so-and-so came to me and her story was very similar to yours. She had inexplorably needed to know her future. Well, I don't need to inexplorably know mine. So-and-so was someone who was very troubled by her past. She had resigned herself to thinking nothing good would ever happen to her. Right from our first seance, I was able to pinpoint the problem. I revealed the basic outline of what her future held in store. So-and-so was finally convinced and realized for once in her life, she had made the right choice in calling me for help. Today, it's your turn. No, thank you. I'm going to give you details about this seance. The last one lasted several hours and really took it out of me. Make good use of it, Randy. Okay. I read that and I don't even have words. I just don't even have words because in my mind that is extremely unethical. And then I talked to everybody and asked everybody if they'd come in tonight so we could talk about ethics and mediumship, and I get a second one. This one was creepier than the first. Randy, I had a dream about you last night. Okay, that's not the way I want an email to start off when I don't even know you. Okay.
I haven't even done that.
Right? You had just finished reading Your Great Psychic Clarity. It was as if for the first time you were free. Oh, honey, I've been free a long time, and I've been doing this for a long time. The spring in your step, the joy in your eyes, you reminded me of a child, like a rebirth. You were just simply well. Everything seemed to be turning out right. And believe me, I was so moved to witness such a scene. I was enthralled by so much serenity. With your great psychic clarity, Randy, you are in possession of the 3 major phases of life. It's up to you to use them wisely. I really can't wait to see you last embrace this pivotal moment in your destiny. Can't even read this. Who would let such a moment slip by? Knowing you, you certainly wouldn't, Randy, especially not after what I've seen. I'm not worried. You are much too smart to not make the right decision. Those papers are on the ground.
Oh, is that it?
That is it. I had a dream about you isn't enough.
I can't wait till to see what you get tomorrow. He's got you on a mail drip.
You just made me speechless. So what I'm going to do, because this is such a big, passionate topic for me, I am actually going to step back. Stacy, do you mind if we say that you're a board member of?
Whatever. Whatever can we say?
Well, I've been in spiritualism a long time. I'm a board member of the National Spiritualist Association of Churches.
Okay.
I'm ordained through that organization. Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're ordained through that. I'm a minister. Colleen, you're a minister. So yes. I'm going to step back and I am going to let you guys just start talking because I need to gather my thoughts on this.
Okay, I'm going to start.
All right.
This is classic selling spirituality by the pound. And it's all about somebody's getting the moolah from you. And if you think about it, he probably is sending 1,000 of those emails out with hopes that maybe one person will hit.
I have to hope that only one person hits, to be completely honest, because I just feel like a gut punch.
It's probably what they call a funnel. Like if you click on free reading, all those people go into like this funnel pool, and then he can collect information off of it and he or she can send emails.
Well, just coming from the real estate background where I used to do email marketing and do things, I put people in categories and I would drip campaign to people and send them messages to keep top of mind. I mean, that is marketing 101. You want to keep top of mind. But his letters are very creepy.
Well, not just that, but I felt like this is somebody that would be one of those, oh, and if you do a reading with it, oh, and if you do exactly what I tell you, for $5,000 or $500 or whatever price they want to put, I can make that happen for you.
Well, it'll start at 5,000 and then it'll go a couple weeks later. And then just for you, because I feel you're special, Randy, I'm going to give you a special and it's going to be $2,500. Oh, and then a couple weeks later go by and then it'll be, oh, you know what, Randy, I believe in you so much. I'll do it for $250. That's what will, the pricing goes down. It's to see who they can grab.
Yeah, it's like infomercial spiritualism knocking at your door. Yeah.
I felt like it was a predator. And
Well,
and I felt like it totally and completely lacked spiritualism.
It does.
yeah, it's completely unethical. You know, coming from a background, I was taught through a church. So, you know, we all have our own way of getting there. There's many paths to the same destination. But no matter if you're learning through a teacher, if you're learning through a church, if you're learning to develop mediumship, the first thing that any good teacher should instruct you is this is sacred. This is a wonderful experience of bringing two worlds together to prove this continuity of life, to prove that your loved ones aren't lost, you know, and then to infomercial it, chainmail it, or whatever you want. I like that, spiritual by the pound, whatever. It takes away all this, you know, all the sacredness, all the wonderful healing, like Randy said in the beginning. You know, mediumship is healing, you know, and I just, yeah, it's, I mean, I get the marketing thing, you know, like even in any form, you know, any form of, you know, churches, let's face it. I mean, I'm going to speak from mostly a church aspect because that's where I come from, but you know, you have to be out there. You have to be in the public. You have to be doing community service. You have to be building a congregation. You just don't open the doors and people come to you.
But you don't do it based on lies.
No, and deceit. And there's nothing that irritates me more than seeing like, oh, you know, and I tell people all the time, trust that gut. And if it don't feel right, it's not right. And, you know, for the low price of $9.99.99, we can get rid of any entity that attaches itself to you. Like, run the other way. That's not
how it's supposed to work.
That's not mediumship to me. That is shenanigans.
Well, that's like the whole, you know, I'll charge you $250 to bless your house. I mean, really? Really? You're going to charge $250 to bless a house? That's a gift. If somebody looks at me and says, oh, I want to pay you for it, I go, write a check to the church. Write it to an organization that you believe in. Put it somewhere, you know, give it to a homeless person. I don't care what you do, but give it to somebody. This is my gift to you.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much responsibility that comes with mediumship. And I think that, could it be possible? I'm putting this thought out into the universe to you people. Are people developing too quickly? Is it like the drive-through mediumship? You take one course on 1 week and you kind of learn how to connect, but you don't really understand the ethics and the responsibility that comes with development.
I agree with that. You know, and even if you've been studying a year, you're still in your infancy. I have got so many years in. Colleen, I know you do. And
you.
Stacy,
You know, if you look at 5 years.
I know you do. And Jack, you've been studying with me for what, about a year now?
Almost.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Close to it.
And are you still learning constantly?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think
Okay,
we
now-
all are.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, the truth is we all keep learning. When you're in your infancy, you learn a lot more though, because you're really like a sponge that's still kind of dry. So everything that comes to you, you're just absorbing.
I don't know that I 100% agree with that developing too quickly, because I feel like at some point development is going to happen a little quicker now than maybe 20 years ago, because of where we're at and the things that need to happen in order for us to move forward and ascend and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I understand what you're saying. But I feel like the people that do that aren't developed, I mean, they're not even close if they're going that route.
They've not done the spiritual work.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah. Well, they have no clue.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. And Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what Stacy was trying to say is that when you develop too fast, it's very easy to confuse confidence with ego.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, one of the things one of the things that was taught to me, and I'm like, again, I agree with Randy, we're still learning. I mean, I just realized, I just took a class not that long ago about cultural bias in mediumship. Now, who would have thought of that? But we're moving to that time period that we do have to talk about that. We do have to talk about gender identity and spirit. I mean, there are these things that we as mediums have to keep up on and keep progressing in our understanding and development. But what I kind of meant, and I think, Randy, I think you kind of, got it right in the essence of, I get it. I remember first starting out and just so excited to connect with spirit, and probably didn't have the boundaries that I should have, because, I was so learning and so eager and so excited. And to be completely honest, I remember, and this is like one of my big no-nos, me personally though, so just know anything I ever say is me personally. I ended up going up to some random person and like, oh my gosh, I see that your husband's next to you. And, because I was so excited. And then I realized after that how wrong that was, because she was not prepared to hear that message.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing but my ego and my eagerness to relay that message that woman broke down and cried. And who knows how I affected her, by really, which I feel that's the kind of things that should be taught right away. And you have to learn to kind of harness that, because that's a huge responsibility, of not only, because I'm telling you, and this is the thing, Randy, I was thinking about these emails. In mediumship, now I'm not talking psychic or intuition, I'm just talking in mediumship, connecting, loved ones to loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
If you are the medium who's going to deliver the message, spirit will make it happen. You don't have to go out seeking. Never should you go to somebody and say, hey, I have your loved one here. They should come to you and say, hey, can you connect me to my loved one? And if you open up and you get the grandma instead of the mom, if you're sitting there fishing for mom and, saying, oh, well, your mom's busy today and can't come to the phone, because that's a whole nother, don't get me started in that. But, spirit will find a way. If you're meant to be the medium to bring through that person's loved one, spirit will find a way to do it. But going to seek,
And you're right. And I teach my students, that there's a great responsibility with mediumship, because you can alter somebody's life. You can alter it positively or you can alter it negatively, and it can have long lasting effects. And, I've taught them that there's no room for ego in mediumship, because you can be the best medium you want to be. And if spirit doesn't show up and participate, you've got nothing. Yeah. And I've also taught them that you don't get to choose who comes in when you do a reading. And, you should be telling your clients up front, you want to hear from so-and-so and we'll do our best, but spirit is in control here. I'm just a middle person, and whoever comes through is who comes through.
Yeah.
And
well, it's also stating highest and best.
Right.
When you do that, it might not be grandma, but it might be mom that's the best. And
yeah,
intention.
Absolutely. Well, and I think too, the more we have these discussions, like, you know, what is the difference between mediumship, psychic? What to expect when you go to a medium? If the medium's asking you for your name, full name, birth date, address, a picture of your current loved one, you know, I would hope that some of these sensors kind of go off, because what's happening and what is really harsh about this is that it gives the true mediums, I don't know, but the genuine, authentic mediums a bad
That have
name.
worked hard, that have worked very hard to develop.
Yeah.
And you know what it reminds me of, Stacy? Okay, we're going to date ourselves right now. Those of us of a particular age, do you remember they would do drills and all these sirens would go off in school and you jump under your desk and you kind of, you know, if that happens, what Stacy just described, jump under your desk and get in that position, because there's something wrong. You know, a good medium, when you sit down to read, they should give you evidence, things that there was no way that they could know within the first 10 minutes, if not sooner. And they shouldn't be on a fishing expedition. It shouldn't be question after question after question. Maybe I've got this spirit, blah, 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 describe it. Do you understand that? Yes.
That's
Okay.
the only really good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, and that's true. They should be able to, like, I love evidence in the first 10 minutes. It should be like, bang, 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 bang. Here's a bunch of information. Now, can you understand that? Do you know? Or, you know, and again, it's just so important to know, you know, and mediumship is connecting to a loved one in the spirit world. You know, if they're doing, you know, aura readings or, you know, fortune telling, if you would, or, you know, some of that falls into the psychic, you know, arena. So it's important to know which one, because I see a lot of sometimes confusion. People think like, oh, they told me that I was going to get new tires on my car next week, you know, and I'm like, well, who told you? You know, like, did your dad come through in the spirit world, or did, you know, because there's a difference. And a lot of people don't understand the difference between being a psychic and being a medium. I always say they're the same lane highway. You know, like you have the fast lane, whatever, the left lane where you're only supposed to go in when you're passing cars. You know, I figure that lane as mediumship, because you're at a really high vibration, you know, to connect and be that medium for spirit. And then like the other lane is the psychic lane, and both are, neither one are, I'm not rating one better than the other, because it's the same highway. But what's important is to know the difference, because, well, because then you can become, and this is the other thing I have a huge problem with, I'm sorry, my brain is moving at 100 miles an hour, is dependency. If you're a medium who has to, you know, has a client who can't even make a decision on what color to paint their living room because they have to check in with their husband, and you're charging this person, you know, I've seen it happen. You know, I've seen these grieving people, you know, be taken advantage of, really. And it's awful. Just awful.
I just wanted
I
to,
have some-
Wait, Colleen's been waiting for a second, Jack. Hold on.
All right. So when I hear you talking, Stacy, and there's something that just kind of triggered me, is that I don't think that the people that are learning how to be mediums are being taught the difference between psychic and mediumship. And then they're using psychic, but they're saying it's mediumship, and it's very misleading to the public. Because when I'm in a reading and I get stuff and I know that it's psychic, I look at the person and I go, okay, this is stuff that I'm getting that's psychic, and I need to go psychic with you for a minute to talk about this. And then I go back to Aunt Sally. because but people don't know. And it took me a very long time and a very good mentor to basically say, you got all the mechanics, you just don't know which way you're using it, and this is how it separates out. The minute it's separated out, it's real easy to go, okay, that's psychic, I don't need that right now, I'm talking to Aunt Sally.
Yeah.
And they don't, I don't think a lot of the teachers teach that.
I would agree with you, Colleen.
That's why I like teaching to the NSAC standard for mediumship. Because it's this little bit, right, that you have to hit. And if you're hitting the center there, then all of this information's bonus. But if you learn right there, it's better. Just my 2 cents. Jack, you had something important you wanted to say.
I just wanted to say for the people that don't know, is there a quick explanation that you can give for people that don't know going into a medium or a psychic what the difference is? If you're saying that they, that's part of the problem and that's one of the ways, you should know which one you're doing, how would the average person know what's the best way for them to, you know what I'm saying?
The sitter or the reader? Let's clarify that. The person coming for a reading or the person doing the reading?
The person coming in.
Well, I think, if you're going to a medium, particularly a medium, or you're going for a mediumistic reading, mediumship's whole foundation in the way I was taught and how I believe, is to prove the continuity of life. And to prove the continuity of life, I need to bring someone from the spirit side, heaven, Summerland, beyond the veil, whatever you want to call it, wherever your belief system is to bring someone through and give identifying facts, which leaves you no questionable doubt that was Mom, Aunt Sally, whoever, right? That is mediumship. Now, I know that some mediumship, again, mediumship's a really big word, but the mediumship, like through the NSAC, how Colleen said like this, is really focused on evidential mediumship, which is proving that continuity of life. For me, psychic work is more of reading the energy around you, reading your energy, reading, the energy that we bring with us because of our house, our work, or whatever. So there's no connection, if you would, to anybody in like the spirit world. Psychic work is just, and like Colleen says, the thing is it's a 2-lane highway going to the same destination. And even when I give readings, like for me, this is just for me, when I'm connected to spirit and I'm bringing through a loved one, I can really only do that for about 30 minutes because I am having to keep my vibration high. Spirit has to lower their vibration. So we have this clear bar communication. And we're both fluctuating because they're having, they're just not like whoop and can stay there. And I'm like, and can stay here.
We're not helicopters.
Right. Right. But I do dip into the psychic lane for a minute. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Your aura is showing me that you're interested in healing. Whoop. Okay, wait a minute. And you do dip, but you should be hearing from a loved one that you can recognize who has crossed to the other side. That's mediumship. If someone's just telling you, watch out for work, you could be a healer, and there's not anyone backing that information up. Like, who's saying that? Is my Uncle Joe saying that, who's in spirit? Then you're just doing psychic, then you're seeing a psychic. Again, not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
Which is why, oh, I'm sorry, Colleen, just give me one second.
Sorry, it's like, we're all so excited. The thing that I learned very early on all mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
And
Okay.
Jack, this is why I teach you guys. When you go into a reading, you hit hard right away with evidence. If there's a name, maybe what caused their death, what they did for work, what hobbies they liked. You know, you hit hard with evidence so that there's no doubt who you have. And then later in the reading, you can always drop down to psychic. And like I tell you guys, when the energy is running out and it's backing up, that's when you say, okay, do you have any questions? And you drop down into that psychic field. It's easier to go from high down than it is from down up.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, do you want to address readers as far as psychic, if there's anything to say on that side?
Yeah, I do. Don't do what he did.
Really?
Okay.
Don't do what he did. Have ethics. You know, and if you don't know ethics and mediumship, find some of us that do and find out what it means. Because you're working with spirit, and spirit is a high vibration. So there's ethics. And if you're not working with ethics, then I just lost my words because I'm flabbergasted.
Well, one of the things that I set out right out from the beginning, because I came into mediumship as a profession as I was leaving real estate as a profession. And so I would get really frustrated about ethics, because we would have as a realtor, I had a code of ethics, and I just felt like there needed to be a code of ethics in this. I don't work with small children unless the parent is there. I just don't.
Right.
I won't work with somebody that's drunk or inebriated or under the influence of a drug. If I can't make a connection with that person and they're not making any sense, I look after 10 minutes, I go, look, I'm not the right medium for you. Here's your money. Go with peace. I'm not the right person. Or I might go, oh, you know what? You might want to call Randy Sands, because I think she might be a better person, a better fit, because I know Randy, and I know, and the reason Randy's name came out of my mouth is because Spirit said, send her to Randy. I've done it with my friend Ruth. I've done it with other mediums. I've sent people to my mentor because I couldn't connect with them, but I knew my mentor could. And that's what you need to do, is have that ethics, this to say, I won't do this. I won't work with this. And then that's also strong boundaries with spirit. I won't work with anyone that comes through that's dealing with sexual abuse. That's my boundary. I won't deal with that. And you know what? Spirit never let somebody come see me that has that issue.
Yeah.
And let me add a couple in there, Stacy, real quick, and then I'll give you the floor. Don't do readings for somebody that just lost somebody 2 days ago.
No.
Don't take clients every week, every other week, because they're dependent. It's like an addiction, and you're doing them a disservice. There's a lot of different boundaries, and you need to know, none of us know every single one of them, but you need to know what the biggies are if you're going to be doing this, because spirit does not like it. And if you're not working ethically, they're going to stop working with you, because that's not what they're about. I'm sorry, Stacy, go ahead.
Oh, no. I think we're just also passionate about this, which I find, that's always a good thing, because, we are. And I agree with Colleen. I think the best indicator is if a medium says, I can't. If you're not feeling it that day, or you're not feeling it, you're not connecting with that client, it's better to say, you know what, I can't today. you know, or I'm not, or go here or go there. I always say that, you know, again, I'm doing it from kind of a church standard, because obviously in the church services, in our religious services, we have a code of ethics. We have to sign and follow a code of ethics, and we have a do's and don'ts standard that is what I find very, to me, I'm glad I learned it, because to me, I don't have to unlearn any bad habits, really, you know, like I've had this way. And, you know, if you're asked to serve spirit and you just can't seem, you know, to be in that place, I'd much rather, and I've seen it happen, to say, you know what? And I have respect for that medium, that they knew that for whatever reason, today wasn't the day. You know, the other thing too, and I know this one's a little bit controversial in certain ways, but I'm also particular because a lot of the people that come to mediums, at least, you know, not necessarily psychics, but mediums, are people who are grieving the loss of a loved one. Mm-hmm. And so there is that standard of, because they're going through their grief process, they might take every single word you say as, you know, yeah. And so, you know, if you're psychically making a prediction or psychically saying something to them and not saying, you know, your son isn't saying this, I'm feeling this, they're going to think that their son said that. And you can just traumatize their life. You know, and notice if they look mentally unstable, I have reference numbers. You know, I say, you know what, maybe it's not time for a reading right now, but here's some grief counselors who I, you know, keep in my back pocket to help, you know, because that's just a huge responsibility that I don't know if I want to be, I don't want to take a responsibility for somebody doing harm to themselves or others because they came for a reading.
And, you know, I have a student, and he had this medium that he had known for a while. I don't remember the whole story, but they were chatting, and this medium told him something about his heart. He was freaking out. He called, "There's nothing wrong with your heart, baby. There's nothing wrong with your heart. Relax." Okay. So another boundary is, remember, we're not doctors. We don't diagnose and we don't prescribe.
Exactly.
We're also not accountants, lawyers.
Right?
Yeah, veterinarians. I'm not. At least I'm not. But yeah, don't.
Is into mediumship too? Veterinarians? I mean, I know in grooming it does, but
I don't know. But yeah, diagnosing and prescribing are, and that's the other thing too. Like, I remember through when I think it was one of my teachers was saying to me, somebody had said, well, like, they want you to get out and get in the sun and you know, get fresh air. So this person goes out in the sun and they're on medication that is sensitive. So they've burnt their skin to you know, they've done more harm by, you know, telling them to do that when you don't know. And I don't think, and I have to wonder, again, this is a question that we're learning on our journey as we develop, you know, because like I said, we're never fully developed. We don't get the master medium certificate, you know, there is no like final PhD or something in mediumship, but, you know, spirit knows, like Colleen said, she has boundaries with spirit. I do too. You know, there's certain things that I just won't say ever. And they know that.
And here's one for you guys. Is my husband cheating on me? Well, you already know the answer to that. You just want me to validate it. I like Frank, and I want to be with Frank. Is Frank going to be with me? Well, we don't have the right to tap into Frank without Frank authorizing that and co-signing it. You know, we don't have the right to just tap into other people without their permission. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started doing animal communication, I had a friend with a dog, and the dog was having health issues. Because we were friends, I just assumed I could tap into the dog. And the dog said, yeah, nope, I'm good. Well, the dog wasn't good. So I tapped back in and I said, well, you didn't ask me if I wanted to talk to you. Dogs have the right to privacy too. And you have to, get their permission. Katie, I'm sorry, honey, we're not doing messages tonight. Tonight's topic is very specific. It's on ethics and mediumship. Do any of you have anything you want to add to this?
Well, I just have to say with the permission thing, just think of the golden rule. Do you want people tapping into you? Like, do you want, people to, I get it. Like I'm an aura seer, right? We all understand energy. We all have the spidey senses. So it's one thing to go into a room and go, okay, I'm going to talk to that person. I'm not going to talk to that person, but to verbalize it and say, oh yeah, your aura, sorry, ain't gonna blend with me, or I'm going to go hang over here. We don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, you always have to kind of remember that. Like, I think like it's okay to use your senses. I'm not saying don't use them, we're developing them and having them for a reason, but you have to use them ethically. You have to use them responsibly. And you have to use them like they're a precious gift, because they can be taken away in a moment. And then you're doing what this guy or gal is doing and sending these emails on a money expedition mining. And who knows how many people this person has harmed in its wake. How many people are laying in bed thinking they have negative energies attached to them. And once they give this woman or man this much money and buy this color candle and turn counterclockwise 5 times and then, take a salt bath, that maybe, just maybe, this negativity will go away.
And go outside and run around the block naked 15 times. Did you guys see what Sarah wrote? When I was at Arthur Findlay School in the UK, I learned that there's a criminal code against diagnosing and prescribing, and it's very strict. Imprisonment is a penalty. I've Googled the British law, and they have good laws to follow as guidelines.
It is actually true. It is very, and you can't do psychic work, I think, either. You can't predict or fortune tell in England. I know here in America, you can, fortune tell if you would, but again, that's not mediumship. But yeah, good job, Sarah. I was going to say too, on that notion, if anybody wants to see the NSAC, they actually have, and I was just looking for it, a do's and don'ts list when it comes to mediumship. It's available if you go to, if you go on the website, there's an updated one and you can get it. And I suggest, if you're a mediumship teacher, if you are a student, have one sent to you or have a stack sent to you, to share, because I agree with you, Colleen. I think any person who's going to be a working medium, regardless if you're affiliated with a religious organization or not, you should sign some sort of ethics. We need to be responsible here.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, I think the biggest problem is that outside of the NSAC, there is no real good group that controls it and gives you that structure. And maybe that's something that needs to be developed somewhere along the lines.
Yeah.
I had that list of do's and don'ts right here, and I don't know where it is.
I know, and I feel like I should have it right here too.
I have it right here in this bookcase somewhere.
Over here. It's in my pile over here somewhere.
I have like
I
the
haven't been
manual
sitting
sitting
in
right
any
here.
class.
I just
I
can't
haven't done
keep-
including for.
So
I
like,
was just looking in there, Stacy. I didn't see it. I may have missed it, but I didn't see it.
No, it's printed separately.
Yeah, it's a little pamphlet.
Yeah.
And I have it right here somewhere. I have
and it has
a boatload of
the
them.
healers.
so my question then would be, is like in grooming, there are different groups that offer certifications, for lack of a better word. In mediumship, there's no overseeing organization or body or group that says you can be a part of this group as long as you follow these standards, or you know what I'm saying, or if you do these steps or
Well,
whatever.
the NSAC is the longest American running organization, organized spiritualists. And throughout the years, I shouldn't say little, but other organizations popped up: the American Federation of Spiritualists, the Independent Spiritualist Association, but I'm not trying to promote, but I do work for Morris Pratt, which is also the longest, like America's Spiritualist College. It has a full course on spiritualism, the science, philosophy, and religion. So it talks about, our founding and mediumship and healing and, but see, not all mediums right now are spiritualists either. You don't necessarily have to be a spiritualist to be a medium, so I think, and there are teachers who teach and credential their own, mediums, but I would say look for, if you're out there looking to develop, look to see what their standards are. Look to see, what the teacher, how the teacher, that's always a good thing too. We are very much like our teachers, aren't we? Or our mentors. We're different, but we're similar. We carry through some of the very same structures that were, that they laid for us and stuff. And I have to tell you, just trust that gut. And if it don't feel right, it's not right. And look for something that does, and I don't know, it's hard because I'm telling you, I feel I can't get over the sickness. I feel like this person didn't even know, well, if they knew who Randi was, I'm shocked that they even emailed it. But if they didn't know, to me, that is somebody who's trying to take advantage of a vulnerable person. Yeah, and in that vulnerability, it might not feel right, but do research. Do some research. Look into, ask around.
Go to a spiritualist church in your area.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're seeking answers and you need information, you walk into a spiritualist church and all of a sudden, guess what's going to happen? Spirit's going to go, okay, this person needs to hear from Spirit. The next medium up, they trust Spirit. If they trust Spirit, it's wax on, and they're like, okay, can I come to you? And blah, 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 blah. They get what they need, and it's free.
And in some places, like I started the spiritualist church here, but until then, there wasn't one within 4 hours. So you can always call one and say, I need to get a reading from a good medium. Who is that? And, going back to what Jack had asked earlier, I had said that this coming year, I was going to start doing certification programs with, my students. But you know what? I am going to be super tough. You're going to have to know ethics. You're going to have to be responsible. I'm going to have written tests, and people are going to have to do a lot of readings and pass with very high scores. It's not going to be a cakewalk. Nobody's going to be able to throw money at me and get a certificate. you are going to really have to prove yourself. I mean, you've got 3 of us here that have really proven ourselves. We've all stood in front of the stump in front of hundreds of people and delivered messages and what have you. Well, actually, I know Colleen has, and I'm sure you have too, Stacy. You know, that takes a lot to stand up in front of, you know, a few hundred people and deliver messages and be accurate. And, you know, to do private messages and have a high degree of accuracy. And it will not be a cakewalk.
And there's a difference between public demonstration and private one-on-one readings. Huge difference. Some people excel at public demonstration, but suck at private readings, and vice versa, because I've seen it.
Well, and Colleen, I'm just going to add in a third, because church services can also be different than a public, you know, so I call it platform, public, and private. I feel all 3 of them have a little bit different. And, you know, and that's where I say embrace what you're good at. Do you know, like, I think some people are really good at just private readings and other people are really good at just public demonstrations. We don't always have to be both, you know, or everything. There are physical mediums in this world. There are healers in this world. You know, mediumship, giving messages definitely is a form of healing, but, you know, Harry Edwards was the master of healing and he never gave an evidential message in his life, you know, because he just focused on the mediumship healing aspect. So do what you're drawn to too. I did want to just kind of put a plug in, like with Colleen, what she was saying, of course, because I am a church goer, but I know you say church to some and some people aren't about church, and that's fine. But with this whole COVID, there's a lot of spiritualist churches that are online right now. So,
Yes.
you know, if you want to see some demonstrations of mediumship, I would say tune into some of these services.
And Loving Realms Spiritualist Church will be going online shortly.
Yeah. Tune in to the spiritualist churches. Our church, you know, our church here in West Dallas, where I'm at, we do a message circle once or twice a month, and you can see how these mediums work and see how mediumship should be. You know, that will help give you, you know, a barometer if you're not into developing mediumship, but you're looking, you know, you're say somebody that you're looking for either help or you're looking for, you know, to not get over, because we never get over grief. It just, you know, but to know that your loved ones still exist, or if you're looking for advice, or, you know, I would say check into that stuff, do some research.
Even on a spiritual plane, I guess, what I was going to say was with the spiritual churches, even if you're not into mediumship or any of that, like, I never knew there was such a thing as a spiritualist or a spiritualist church. But I knew that there were many roads to the same destination. You know, I subscribed to that for many years, and I don't understand, like, people that don't believe that. I just can't wrap my head around it. But so, I mean, even if you're of like mind like that, you may want to investigate those, because there's a lot more than just mediumship under that.
I think the first time you've ever walked into a spiritualist church was at the grand opening of the one I started.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, she came all the way down from PA for the grand opening.
Fantastic.
And the other thing I want to add is that there's many avenues of mediumship. There's so many avenues, from, you know, mediumship to animal communication to healing to, I mean, you name it. You name it. I'm going to start teaching my students investigative mediumship. You know, I've been working with lost pets and people for a while, and I'm going to start teaching them. By the way, if anybody's out there and they have solved cases, please let me know, because we could use them. It gives them a confirmation basis once they've worked the case. And, you know, you're going to, for those that are starting out, you're going to evolve over time. There's things that you're going to think you never wanted to do, and you're going to do them, and you're going to find you love them. And I'll give you a funny, quick example. I had seen a few years back, Lisa Williams, and she's one of my mentors, was doing an advanced intensive platform mediumship. It was like a week long. And I was like, I'm going to take that. Well, there was one word I failed to see. And I was like the first person that signed up for that class. Like as soon as the schedule dropped, boom, you know. One word I failed to see until I actually physically got there was the word platform. And I was
in
going
that
through
class with you.
And I was going through a fire walk at the time. And once I got there and I saw that word, I thought that I was going to have a nervous breakdown because, you know, they don't refund. And I'm like, well, I'm here and I'm going to make the best of it. And yes, Colleen, you were in that class with me. And I would say that we all pretty well rocked it. Yep. And I realized then that I freaking love it. I love platform. It's very freeing. So you will go through different journeys along your road where you're going to do things that you never thought you would do. And you're going to find that you like things that you never thought you would like. So on your spiritual path, I'm going to encourage you to be open to trying and learning new areas within mediumship. Because you don't know what door is the door that's going to be the right door for you.
And you also have to be open to teaching others.
Yes.
Because that's the one aspect of this that I've learned is that I may go back and teach the basics to people, but I learn just as much as the first person, the person that's first walking in the door. I learn something different because it's the spiral, and I keep learning, and I learn a different aspect and a different way to teach it and a different way. And there are times that my students surprise me where I go, oh my God, I never realized that.
But please make sure that you're qualified to teach before you do. Because there's people out there that will take a couple workshops and they think that they've got it and they start teaching. And again, you can damage people that way too. You know, this is a delicate tightrope. And there's a lot of ways that mediums can cause injury. And you have to be mindful all the time. And it's a big responsibility. Being mindful all the time is a big responsibility.
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing that is just coming to my head too is, so for me, I'm a little bit of a healthy skeptic. Not, you can be overly skeptical. Like I just have to say that, like anything comes balance, right? You shouldn't just believe everything that you hear. You know, I grew up in a restaurant and the whole bartender saying is believe nothing of what you hear and half of what you see, which is, you know, from that bartender mentality. But, you know, the other thing too to look for is if the medium is putting down other people all the time, I can't stand that. My grandmother was like, if you have nothing nice to say, then you say nothing at all. And spirit will sort that out. You are not the judge and jury. Natural law is. So let natural law do its part, because I have seen some awful mediumship bashing lately too, like fierce. And I just think that is not part of a spiritual path at all.
And you know, that's insecurity and jealousy, and that's not a high vibration. Right. And I will tell you, I just had an amazing experience recently with Adam Bernstein. We were on social media and we kind of had a little disagreement, but we both stuck with it and we worked it out. And, you know, he apologized and I'm like, don't be sorry, because, you know, if it hadn't happened, we wouldn't be talking like this, you know. And the other day he posted about our Monday night spiritual group. And, you know, he said, Randi, I think you're a good medium. And I said, you know, that's really amazing because you don't see that a lot. And when I see that in other people, other mediums, those are the mediums that I'm going to gravitate to, because that means that we're on the same vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're all doing our best to walk with spirit. We're not going to be perfect all the time, but we use those instances where we're not as learning and you know, stepping stools. But when you can find somebody that's not fearful or insecure or jealous, that is somebody on point.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a healthy respect for that man.
Yeah.
Very healthy respect. As a matter of fact, I invited him in tonight, but he had something else that he had already committed to. And I encourage all mediums to be like that.
Well, it's part of living the light. I mean, again, being a medium, you're taking on the responsibility of even if you're not a spiritualist, let's just say, right? Because we know that we don't have to be, you know, a churchgoer to be a medium, but you are in essence making an agreement with spirit, God, the humanity, to be this open channel for love. And if you're not living that lifestyle, you know, and you can't just clock in and clock out, you know, you just can't do it. I mean, I do it when I picture myself as a Victorian switchboard operator. So when I go to plug in for a reading, I'm like, okay, I'm sitting at the desk, but I have to live the lifestyle to have spirit be there walking with me, you know, because if I'm not living that lifestyle, spirit's not walking with me.
Yeah, and we're not the Flintstones. You know, we're not the Flintstones. You don't yabba dabba do your way out, you know, when the whistle blows.
Yeah.
Well, we also have this responsibility, like you're saying, but like for me personally, I don't do readings within 72 hours of alcohol. So that, you know, so I don't, you know, there are a lot of Friday and Saturday nights that I go out and I drink soda because on Sunday I'm going to church and I'm going to serve spirit, and I cannot serve spirit if I have that influence in me. And that is a huge responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, and I know that there are a lot of mediums out there that drink themselves and walk in on Sunday morning hungover and are given messages, and you're just kind of looking at them going, why are you doing that? Why are you doing it? Your body can't handle that.
But and you're not at a high vibration.
No. But but you can also see that they also are very sick, and they have that, you know, they don't have that boundary of saying no. You know, like I just came off of 18 months of surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that time I didn't work. I didn't work with spirit. I said, spirit, close down. We're having another surgery.
I can attest to that. She did. And as a matter of fact, she told me what to expect with mine that I just had.
but you know, but you have to have that care for yourself and that love for yourself to be able to give the love out.
Right. You have to have respect, you know, you have to have boundaries for yourself. I'm probably a more, your 72 hours is highly oppressive. I just have to say. I'm just saying.
Let me tell you, when I've not wanted to serve at church on Sunday, Saturday night, my husband and I will open a bottle of wine and I'll have wine. Sorry, I drank last night. I can't serve. And everybody knows that rule with me. And,
Yeah.
And they're like, you're not serving at church today.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I agree somewhat. I do agree with you in the essence of I wouldn't drink, you know, the morning of, or, you know, maybe even the night before. Absolutely. I do, though, talk about, because, you know, the other thing, too, that I remember watching, and I mean, I remember still being able to see this, smoking. right from the platform. You know, I used to be a smoker, but I'm not anymore. But, you know, I do believe there is that ethical kind of responsibility. Do you know? I might be a little more lenient than you, maybe, 24, 36, 40, but, to each their own. We're not getting up there with a martini in one hand and a cigarette in the other, giving messages. That is for sure. And, and honestly, you're bringing up something that's, a lot of people say, but, once I have a glass of alcohol, it all comes out easier. And it's like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That is not spirit. That is all the things that your little, conscious mind should never say out loud. It's just coming out. It's not spirit. Yeah. But like, that's the other thing. I did have one medium one time tell me, I don't know if any of you've ever been told this, eating meat, again, to each their own, like I'm from Wisconsin. Hello, like cheese. I'm not giving up cheese. Like, no way, I like my fish fries. I like my porterhouses on the grill, but, I think that, there's those kinds of boundaries, but then there's the unhealthy boundaries, uses of substance to help enhance, which isn't enhancing. People think it is, it's being a little bit unresponsible. But I do laugh at that because somebody said, like, well, you have to, and I think if that's what works for you, it's kind of like the argument, not that I'm trying to bring in all these controversial topics, physical mediumship, dark, red light, blue light, or light. I say it's up to the medium. And then if you sit in it, it's your experience. It's not my business to, argue with it. So some people say certain mediumship can only be done, by vegetarians. And I just, I'm like, well, for you, not for me.
That's interesting because I've done both. And I can honestly say that I did not notice a difference in my mediumship. I noticed a difference in how I felt. But I didn't notice a difference in my mediumship. And one thing that I do want to get out there before I forget, for those that may watch this that are budding, that are, learning and coming along, please, you see, these are friends, and this is a support system. We all support each other. And the system, at least mine, is very large with a lot of mediums. And we will help each other, on their stepping stones. And it's vital. It's vital when you're working with spirit that you have a strong support system of people that understand you, may understand what you're going through, because you're going to have firewalks. And I say firewalks are like an apartment building in New York with all the bricks, and each level of brick is a new consciousness level. Now, if you're on brick 5 and you go to brick 6, what worked for you here is pretty much going to work for you here. But if you go from 5 to 12, what worked for you here is in no way going to work for you here. And that's when spirit's going to throw a lot of chaos into your life, because you have to learn the lessons to get you from 5 to 12. And the reality is, when we're fat and happy, so to speak, we have no reason to stretch ourselves. So it's through the chaos that we grow. And what I tell my students is sit back, be an observer, and just say, okay, whatever you got to do, do it. And when it's all done, you pick up the pieces and you keep moving. But the thing is you and only you have the honor of being the first person to meet the new you on the other side. And if you look at all the times where you felt like life was falling apart, when you got through it, if you look back, you're going to realize that you were a completely different person on the other end. So have a strong support system and look forward to those firewalks, because it means you're growing.
May I add something to that?
Of course.
In this mediumship and the teachers that you have, my mentor said something to me once that was really profound, and he wrote it in the preface of my book, and he wrote, as a teacher, you put your hand down to help people and you bring them up the ladder with you, right? And you damn well better be putting your hand down there to help somebody that's below you. And every once in a while, you have a student that you have to help with their foot go above you. And that's the most beautiful part of it, is watching somebody else go up beyond what you could even have been conceived doing, and helping them go up, and then watching their hand to reach to pull you.
Oh, I wait for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I wait for that day, because you know what? I'll push them with both hands.
Run as fast as I can.
Oh, we put a little pressure on Jack, haven't we?
You know, and I'm just going to ask, what I'm going to add to that too, is ask questions. If anybody tells you you're asking too many questions, find somebody else to ask the questions to, because just ask, continually be curious, continually ask questions, because that's how you find that truth within you to help with the connection.
And there are a lot of really bad teachers out there. Okay?
I didn't say it.
Really bad teachers out there. I wish Tammy was here, because I walked into Tammy's circle one day and I said, I was just told last week by a teacher that I had no business doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't understand. And she's like, okay. So she did her meditation, and then at the beginning she goes, okay, I want you to go around and keep going until you can't give a message. And there were like 25 people in the room, and I gave everybody a message. And she goes, don't ever listen to somebody like that ever again. So there are bad teachers out there, and there are good teachers that will not resonate with you.
But that was a jealousy-based statement, Colleen.
Yeah. But there are teachers that are really good, and you will not resonate with them, and they will not resonate with you, and you, no matter how much you want to learn from them, you're not going to learn a thing. And it's okay to say, you're not the person for me, let me go find something else. You should know that in like 2 or 3 circles with someone, if it's not going to work, then find a different teacher. A chorus line, Morales, find another teacher.
As a matter of fact, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. As a matter of fact, when I put this meeting up on Facebook tonight, I had somebody reach out to me that was one of Stacy's students. And Stacy, I'll be quite honest with you. I told her that she has a great teacher. She says, you're very patient. I said, she's very funny. But I told her, I said, you couldn't have asked for a better teacher, and you'll go a long ways with her. So, and I think she's new with you, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, she's singing your praises, and she wants to go a long way, and she will. I know she will.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's important when it comes to teaching. No, resonate. Don't try to fit yourself. I say that all the time. If you are a circle peg and you're trying to shove yourself in a square hole, it's not going to work. Go find your circle hole. Because you will find it. You will find a teacher where we all teach. I do agree, in a way, there's all these different teachers. Like Jack said, there's many paths to the same destination. So if that path doesn't resonate with you, move to the next. But then again, I'm going to bring the law of balance in. If you're jumping from teacher to 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 and can't figure out where you need to fit, take a break. Breathe a little. Yeah. breathe a little, take a break. Maybe it's not that time to develop yet, or like, what's the big philosophical saying? When the student's ready, the teacher will appear. Yeah.
I think that's very true.
And I always tell my students have more than one teacher.
You're going to have more than one teacher.
Yeah.
You're going to have that one teacher that's going to spark you and move you along and be with you all along and watch you grow. But just like Randy said, my teacher, my mentor goes, you need to go take a couple classes with Lisa Williams. And there was something Lisa needed to teach me.
Yeah.
And that's, and that's the thing. Like you were just talking about the one with the class that you just took. I'm like, where is that class? And I need that class.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Well, it was offered. I'll have to, maybe we'll put it out there again. We did it through the organization that I'm in. We have different little, we have different auxiliary clubs, and one of the clubs hosted that class, and maybe we should do another one open to the public. It was quite eye-opening to me too. Her name's Siobhan Carlson, and she is we have teaching degrees too, like, through our organization. So she's a national spiritualist teacher. So she has the teaching degree. And she gave it was just phenomenal. Like, again, we always can learn. And I agree. We have, it's always good to have that mentor, that base, that foundation to go back to. I still go back to mine all the time. She probably just like so sick of hearing from me. I'm like, hello, I got questions, but then again, I agree with you, Colleen. You need to go out and learn, because again, different styles. If you look at it from a state of science, and you look at, we're all energy, and none of our energy is all on the exact same frequency, but we're pretty close. I mean, we have little groups and pods, but you might learn something from a different frequency. I always say, even if you went to a class and it was horrific, you at least learned what doesn't work for you, which is something that you've learned anyways, if that makes sense.
Or you've learned how not to teach.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Too fun. I am so sorry though, Randy, that happened to you, but at the same time, I think it was meant to be, because it sparked this conversation that hopefully now people will hear in the future, hear now, those of who that are watching, and it opens the door to conversation, and it opens the door to different perspectives, which is so needed, because I've noticed since this whole COVID pandemic, where we're all in, my news feed is filled with, get a certified life coach for $10 today, get this today for $29.99, get this today, and I just, I wonder, what is that basis? Are you buying the cheap pencil that's going to break a million times, or do you invest in a good pencil that's going to last you for a long time?
I'm sorry, there's some old lady that's come in that's I don't know who she belongs to right now, but there was the heaviness or trouble breathing. Yeah, we need to shut that off. Thank you. I agree. It did happen for a reason. And Stacy, you're smiling. Were you getting it too? Yeah. And I smell baking too. Anyways, I'm not sorry it happened, because that's exactly why it happened, was to spark this conversation tonight. It's exactly why it happened. And I feel that this is a much needed conversation, and it would not have happened had that not happened. And as far as $10.99, $29.99, there's an old saying, you get what you pay for. And if you want to have a teacher that is going to be a good teacher, you're going to have to reach into your pocket a little bit. because as much as it's spiritual work, we still have to make a living too. And if it's that cheap, it's canned. And you're not going to get everything you need to get. Jack will tell you, Jack, how much time do I invest with my students?
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Let me ask you differently. If my students are having issues, can they reach out to me at any time?
Yes.
Okay, I invest a lot in my students, a lot of my time, a lot of my attention, because I want them to be the absolute best mediums they can be. I tell everybody all the time, you know, being known as the best reader, okay. But being known as a medium that turns out a lot of, you know, rock star mediums, there's nothing, that's, for me, that's everything. I don't need to be known as the best reader out there. I would rather be known as somebody that teaches people how to tap in to their abilities and, you know, be able to knock the ball out of the park. To me, that's worth more, because we need more mediums out there, and we need good ones.
There's a lot of emphasis on being a medium, but there's not a lot of emphasis on being a good teacher to mediums. And they're very few and far between. And I think that there's also a movement of change in the way that mediums are being taught. And they didn't do it this way 20 years ago.
Mm-mm.
You would sit in a development circle for 5 or 6 years before you were even allowed to get on the platform in a church. And now they're like, within, you know, a 12-week cycle, they're getting them on the platform, so they're used to being on the platform. So it's a totally different way of thinking and teaching, and it's faster, and not everybody's able to handle it. And I think you have to have that balance.
That's
And
kind of
you-
what I was saying earlier when I disagreed with Stacy, was that basically was that the way the teaching and the learning is progressing. I mean, from my Reiki background, I can tell, you know, even from that standpoint where it's gone from, you know, you have to know this, you have to know the symbols for so long, you have to know, and then you can go for your 2, and then you can go for your 3, and now there's people that'll teach you, you know, the whole thing in one weekend, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So it's accelerated, and then there are drawbacks to some of that. And I think it's up to each person to fill in those missing pieces.
I think it's up to the teacher, and you've got 2 good teachers right here. I know Colleen and her style of teaching, and I know Stacy's background, and I know she's a good teacher. And I would say a good teacher, no, it's like raising children. You don't raise them all the same.
Right.
You have to go according to the individual, and you have to know who's ready, who you can push, and who you have to take baby steps with. And when you can push them, and when, you know, you can't, because if you push them too fast, they'll run. They'll get scared and run.
Well, and I
And
think,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, and I think too, you know, with Colleen and your point, and Jack, your point too, there is this bigger thing, you know, like find a good teacher, try a spiritualist church, really, because you're not just going to learn about mediumship. You're going to learn about living a spiritual lifestyle, how to incorporate, you know, mediumship just isn't understanding the clairs and knowing how to connect. It's knowing how to live in the vibration in which spirit lives, which is pure love, pure understanding, the golden rule, all of the stuff. So a good teacher should be talking about all of, not just the mechanics of mediumship, but the whole purpose, theory, ethics, responsibility behind it, and I think that's another place too, where you can look for that, look for that kind of thing, because I hear what Jack's saying, and to a point I can agree, and then there's the part that some people just accelerate too fast. And what happens when you accelerate too fast and you don't get that solid foundation underneath you, you're going to crash. And, and like Colleen said, we'll be a good teacher to help lift you back up, but yeah.
That's like a house made of cards.
Well, and I've also noticed that people that have a strong healing background tend to accelerate in mediumship a lot faster than somebody that comes in just curious. So if somebody has a strong background in healing, it could be Reiki, it could be just spiritual healing from church. It opens the conduit and the fact that it's coming through you and not from you. That the concept of mediumship
It's very
works for them as well.
So you know what I would like to do? Stacy, if somebody would like to contact you for readings or classes, how can they contact you?
So you could go to my website, which is Spiritualist Stacy. Pretty simple.
And there's no E in Stacy. Spiritualist, STACY.
Yep, spiritualiststacy.com.
Okay, and Colleen, if somebody would like to well, first of all, let me even ask you, are you back to teaching yet?
I have been on kind of on a hold with teaching. I'm just starting to do some stuff now. I don't have a class going right now. I've got to figure out where I'm going with it, especially with COVID. It's kind of hard, but I'm working on it.
Okay, and what
And
if
my
somebody,
website?
are you doing readings right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if
Absolutely.
somebody wants to contact you for readings, how can they contact you?
Talkwithcolleen.com.
Okay. I just finished a class and I don't have any more until the beginning of the year, literally probably the first week in January, for readings or what have you. You can reach me one of two ways, either crackingthespiritualcode.com or on Facebook, Randy Sands on Facebook. Okay. And I think we've covered a lot of ground. What do you guys think? And you know what? If you guys haven't been to a spiritualist church, please call NSAC. Like we said earlier, Stacy's on the board, and you're not going to find, better guidance. If there's one in your area, I mean, please utilize it. All right. And with that said,
Can I just put a plug in? If you're on Facebook, look under NSAC online services, and the churches that are offering Zoom for right now because of COVID are on there, and please visit them.
I've been attending Memorial Spiritualist Churches, which is out of Virginia.
Yeah.
And this week, just because I'm plugging it, I am one of the mediums in residence at Temple Heights.
yay.
I'm doing it virtually because of COVID and the travel restrictions and all. But yeah, so I'm one of their mediums this week. So
Oh, that's a beautiful camp. There's so many. That's the other thing too. Visit your camps during the summer when we're not in COVID and they're open.
And Loving Realms Spiritualist Church should start having services online. Probably not until the beginning of the year. And the reason for that is because I'm restructuring my teaching, and I'm using this time with COVID to restructure everything and to really tighten the nuts and bolts up and make it more solid than what it already is. So with that said, does anybody have anything they want to say before we sign off?
Thank you for letting us have this discussion.
No, I'm not going to accept that. You know why? Because I'm going to thank you guys for being such good friends and for caring about this topic enough to give your time to come in here and to do this. So I'm going to thank you instead.
Well, you're welcome and thank you.
I was going to say, I don't know, how do you respond to that? Okay, you're welcome and thank you. I'm going to follow that trend too.
I knew she would find a way. I know her.
Very good.
All right. So with that, I think we've pretty much covered so much that, my mind is like, I feel like a scrambled egg. So with that, I think that we will say good night to everybody. And for those that missed this, you'll be able to watch it either tomorrow or the next day. There will be a link up on Facebook. And may all of you have an amazing week.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.